Nykaa has been just the most wonderful journey for us, incredibly fulfilling. Started in 2012 by my mother. It was her brainchild and she did found the company. I came back from the US after my undergrad and joined her in 2013.
Yeah.
And you know, from day one, we sort of knew that we wanted to own the beauty space in India. So it's year one. I mean, it's barely been 7-8 months since I've started looking at this part of the business. I'm insanely excited about fashion and I think there's really an interesting business to build here. You know, there has to be a place where Indian women are excited to shop online and I'm hoping we can create that.
So that's not going to be omni-channel?
At least year one, year two, we're sort of focused on online, but I definitely think there will be an ability to do some offline stores. We've seen some interesting trends in cosmetics over the last year or two. The first is the uprise of, you know, the luxury category. So you're currently standing in a luxe store. And so here we play with luxe brands and prestige brands. And I think the company has seen this portfolio growing probably the fastest, and it now accounts for about 15% of our overall sales.
And any IPO plans? You know, your mother ruled the Lal Street.
It may be in the future, but we're really not thinking of it exactly at this moment. I think omnichannel is definitely the future. You know, when we started the offline business, today we have 45 stores. All of those 45 have pretty much opened in the last 2 years. And really the vision is even to take it to about 100 stores in the next year or so.
Why is it that your mom and you are only looking at the woman consumer?
Yeah.
Why not the man?
So I'm glad you asked. Now it's time for a shameless plug. We've actually started NykaaMan.com.
Okay.
And it's a separate app called Nykaa Man where you can shop for all your grooming needs. And precisely because we recognize that, you know, men are absolutely a fantastic opportunity. You are going to see in the next year or so, you know, we are starting to tie up with more and more celebrities, influencers. You see it with our Janhvi Kapoor collaboration. You see it with, you know, the Masaba line. And there's another very exciting one coming up in a couple of months, which I can't reveal.
Hello and welcome to Startup Central. Time now for the Startup Central Masterclass. Today I'm coming to you from a Nykaa Luxe store, and my guest today for the Masterclass is one of the co-founders, the lady boss, one of the lady bosses at Nykaa, Adwaita Nayar. Adwaita, thanks so much. You know, we've done the interview where you've taken us through all that's expected at Nykaa, the new businesses, how you're experiencing fashion. There's a NykaaMan.com as well. But time now for the masterclass. Now, you know, this is of course a regular feature we have on the show. So we did popularize the fact that you were going to come, and we got a lot of questions that we have pre-screened for you. So before I get to that, I wanted to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Who is the boss? Is it you or your mom, Falguni Nayar?
It's hands down my mom. You know, she is really the heart, soul, vision, force behind the company in every way. She brings, you know, 25 years of so much expertise in terms of building a business, finances, how to fundraise. So hands down, it's her, and we are, you know, her reliable sidekicks, you could say.
You're a reliable sidekick.
Reliable sidekick.
When you both disagree, then what happens?
It's definitely my mom,
Yeah?
I think there are very few topics in which I would supersede. Some might be around like millennial perspectives on marketing or a little bit about culture building within the company. But strategy, numbers, it's her.
And how obsessed are you with makeup?
To be honest, in our house, before we started Nykaa, between me and my mom, we would have had maybe like 3 or 4 lipsticks.
That's it? And you got into the beauty business?
We got into the beauty business. But now you can safely say our house is fully stocked with all these wonderful brands as we try and we learn about the products. So we're quite
you love makeup now?
We both love makeup now.
Yeah? And you do it yourself or like?
I do it myself.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it tough picking up everything?
No, you know, I think once, really from going from very little interest, it's like a great thing to learn about. It's fun. It's sort of
And you learned it on yourself or like?
We learned it on ourselves.
So you guys are like pretty good customers or like guinea pigs to try out like what you need to
you
do.
know, I think if Nykaa can excite us, we know that we can excite the rest of the audience out there.
Okay, so now time for the masterclass. And before I do that, Adwaita, there is a special guest that we have, which has a special soundbite. He's not an investor, but he's considered to have a Midas touch. He's a Zoogler. He's, you know, given up Google. I think you've guessed who I'm talking about, Rajan Anandan. He did talk about Nykaa. So I'm going to play that soundbite for you. You can just press play on my phone.
Yeah, thanks.
You'd asked me a few years ago, two or 3 years ago, everybody said, look, you got Flipkart, you got Amazon, can anybody else compete? Boom, Nykaa, right? You have vertical commerce companies, right? Nykaa, there are 2 grocery companies. But now we're seeing a whole new wave of e-commerce companies being founded and scaling very fast, right? And the reason is, by the way, because it's still very early in India, right?
That's Rajan pretty impressed that just when Walmart and Flipkart, everything had picked up the market.
No, I mean, very kind words. And he's advised us on a bunch of things, so it's great to hear that.
Yeah? I've got another surprise for you. This one is actually a investor in Nykaa, and this is what he had to say.
Okay.
We at Max Ventures are delighted to have invested in Nykaa. Adwaita, we've heard about a lot of father-son duos, but I think it's a delight to hear about a mother-daughter duo that both Falguni and you are. And it's impressive the work and the value that you've created in Nykaa. What's more impressive is that you've taken on a segment in Nykaa, both the offline retail and the fashion, that is very tough, very competitive, and have done exceedingly well. So congratulations, and I hope you continue to do more and continue to build on your successes. Stay as humble as you are. And with the drive, energy and infectious passion that you have. And I wish you all this luck as you enter the next phase of your life as well. So good luck and congratulations again.
Well, he's a friend as well, I'm guessing.
I mean, super sweet. Thanks a lot, Sahil. Really, really lovely words, and we really appreciate it.
I'm going to ask you what he said. Are you getting married?
I am getting married.
So congratulations. And if you don't mind my asking, are you going to do your own makeup? Are you getting the Nykaa team to do it?
I am not doing my own makeup, but all to be decided.
It's not going to be Nykaa?
I mean, I'm sure I'll wear some Nykaa products. Yeah, we could say that.
Okay. Now, jokes apart, time now for the masterclass. The first set of questions, Adwaita, we got from Thai Delhi NCR. We got Thai Delhi NCR to tell all its members that we were getting Adwaita Nayar from Nykaa to come. And we've got a whole host of these questions, which I'm going to now take you through. And you can go through them on my phone. It'll be great if you could also advise them on what they're asking.
Hi Adwaita, this is Sunny Zorawar Singh. I'm the founder and CEO of Talentopedia, the global talent network. So my question to you is, effective leadership requires great decision making. When you as a leader face several right answers, how do you lock down on the perfect answer? What principles do you use for locking down on it?
Yeah.
So that's Zorawar.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. I think at Nykaa, and this really comes from my mom, Falguni Nayar, the CEO and founder, we from day one have found a lot of solace in our business model and in our P&L projections. So there's been a huge emphasis on knowing what the business model is going to look like in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and at any given point we have that foresight. There's again this huge discipline of looking at what the P&L is going to look like, what the P&L has to look like at every line of the P&L. So I think, having that overall structure, knowing that, your marketing has to be at X percentage of sales, your direct variable has to be at X percentage, in year 3 you have to open stores. I think that gives you a little bit of guide rails so that decision making comes within that framework.
Okay.
I think another thing that really comes to my mind is more on a day-to-day level. I think, first of all, I like decisions to be win-win. Whenever it's with your own team, whenever it's with an external partner, I don't think any good decisions are ones where one person comes out as a winner and one comes out as a loser. So I think some win-win decision making is also important. I think a third thing about decision making is it has to be fast. I think
decisive.
No decision at all is the worst possible decision. So I would say those are sort of the 3 things that we go to.
Okay. And do you think Harvard Business School and Yale shaped you to think like this, or has this been more on ground?
I think Harvard in particular, as a business school, really did help me. I went to business school after doing 2 years at Nykaa. Those first 2 years were incredibly challenging. It was the first 2 years of any bootstrapped, very helpless sort of startup experience where we really didn't know what success would look like. And I took the opportunity to go to business school to really just step back from it. And I think I came out a lot stronger in the sense that business school really helps you reflect on your management style, your leadership style. It also makes you reflect and look at a lot of other businesses. And when you look at all these businesses, like 300, 400 businesses through the case study method, you end up seeing patterns in business model, patterns in decision making, patterns in failures, patterns in the cycles of business going ups and down. So that I think has really helped me. really helped me on a day-to-day basis.
Okay. I hope that helps out Sunny Zorawar. There's another one we got from Tidal.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Vani. I'm founder Cherry Peach Plum and I help brands and businesses grow to their full potential. I have over 2 decades experience now with Unilever, Reckitt Benckiser, PepsiCo. So I have a very, very strong consumer orientation. And my belief is that a business must be built around a consumer. That there must be a strong consumer need or a latent desire that can be clearly articulated. After all, there has to be reason for a business to exist, otherwise how can it exist? So my question to you is, would you agree that business strategy must only come after brand strategy, that brand strategy must precede business strategy, so that it's clear to oneself to start with and later to others as to why does one exist, why am I here, and what is it that I'm building towards? Thank you.
Yeah, so I think this you often get pushed when you're starting a business that let's be 100% sure what the positioning is. Let's be 100% sure that there really is a very finite, need. Let's be 100% sure you know exactly who the customer is. And while I do feel that there is merit in being, having some amount of conviction in what you're doing, I again come back to this whole philosophy of starting is important. You just need to start, and that momentum comes. And I think often what you'll find and what we found at Nykaa is that as the business evolved, as the business progressed, our shaping of the brand also changed. I think even with fashion, what we see is that the market and the business, once you start, the customers start telling you things, which actually modifies your whole approach and your perspective when it comes to the brand building.
So basically, just decide you want to do a business, take the rest as it comes, and of course, you'll have to keep molding, right?
I think you can't just start. You need to have some grounding in what you're doing and believe in it, and have some, research that shows you it's a real need. But I don't think you need to perfect every aspect of brand building, because I think a lot of that comes as the business progresses.
Okay, I hope that one helps you out. And here's the next one from Tidal.
Hi, I'm Sakshi Talwar, the founder of Rugs and Beyond, which is an e-commerce platform for selling one-of-a-kind handmade carpets and rugs to customers worldwide while empowering local weavers and artisans in rural India. So my question is for Adwaita, which is twofold. Firstly, what was the biggest challenge that you faced being a woman entrepreneur when you were first starting out? And secondly, when you were seeking out funding, were there any challenges that you faced? If yes, how did you overcome that as well?
So to answer the 2 questions, first and foremost, I think my challenges were less about being a woman and more about being, a young entrepreneur. I found the first 2 years, like I already said, very challenging. And I think, frankly, those stories should be told, because often you only hear about Nykaa today and the success that it is today. But those first 2 years were insanely difficult, not being able to fundraise properly, not being able to grow in the way we wanted, losing our key critical members of the team, not having people believe in us, many of our functions crumbling, poor customer experience. We had all of that. Okay. And I think for me personally, I had to learn, and I wasn't very good at this, differentiating between what is work stress, work pressure, the highs and lows of a work environment, and not letting that overtake your whole life. So I think entrepreneurship really requires you to be resilient, strong, being able to weather the lows and highs very effectively. And I would say that was something I really struggled with in the early 2 years.
And not to bring it home maybe, even though you work with your mother, right? That must have been a challenge as well.
Yeah, I think we really struggled with stuff like that. Again, like I'm saying, there was this one occasion where our ops sort of crumbled. So it was the 2 of us sitting in the warehouse packing boxes and, doing the mapping of inventory to orders. And it was Ganesh Chaturthi time. And, it's hard not to bring that stuff home. It really does come home. We used to read all the customer complaints, and seeing customers so upset and irritated with us, obviously, again, it comes home. And so I think now I feel like I've become a lot more mature and I'm able to kind of split those 2.
Jeff Bezos says he goes through every email.
Yeah.
Do you go through every email?
So we are really inspired by Jeff Bezos, and we've read that line in the book. So yes, Mom does it still a lot. She goes through a lot of customer complaints. I've started doing it now for fashion as well. I think the ethos is that every customer complaint pinpoints to some problem and some flaw in your business model, in your operating model. And we find it super helpful, both to look at customer orders and to look at customer complaints.
Okay. So that's, I hope, very helpful, and it's good to know that the top boss is also right on top of the situation, because I guess you have to be in charge and be the driver's seat and innovate as well. Now, after Thai Delhi NCR, we also sent our cameras to a hub in Bengaluru, where you were very popular, if I may say that, Adwaita. We got a lot of questions for you from there as well, so you can keep scrolling.
Okay.
Hi Adwaita, I'm Spadika. I lead partnerships for a fintech startup based in Bangalore. My question to you is, how did Nykaa go about building trust among a customer base who's not used to buying makeup online?
Like you never bought makeup online.
Yeah, I mean, I think trust comes in many ways. I think we did a couple things right, and trust is frankly something we've thought about from day one. The first and foremost thing is that we took the decision from day one, even when we were struggling, couldn't convince brands to come on board, that we would never source our products from anyone but the brand itself or their authorized distributor. So even though there was obviously the temptation of going out and getting these products from all sorts of marketplace models, we never kind of succumbed to that. And that was all my mom, in the sense that she said that no matter what, even if we once lose the trust of the customer, it won't come back.
No.
The second thing in terms of trust is obviously being able to give content. I keep coming back to, if you can give someone content that they can learn from, that truly helps them build trust with your brand. The third thing is, I think a lot of the people in the organization are very, we make ourselves available to the customers. We put ourselves on social media, we give out our email addresses, we address them at blogger meets and customer group town halls and such. And I think them being able to see the faces behind the company and see that these people really do care, I think it helps create trust as well.
So that's some secrets for creating trust and credibility, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, hi Nykaa. My name is Sujata and I'm a co-founder of Headway.ai. So my question to you is, how do you really get a startup to scale, in the first run of their growth phase?
Yeah, okay. So I mean, that's a great question. It's a question I'm looking at again right now with fashion as well, in terms of how do we make sure that we scale in the right way for the next 2 years. I think it comes back to some of the questions I answered earlier, in the sense that you have to start with the business model. You have to start with what is your 1-year plan, 3-year plan, 5-year plan, and kind of work towards that. You need to have a long-term enough vision. And only when you have that long-term enough vision and you have that appetite to take the risks for that long-term game, I think can you start building for scale. I think also what's very important for building for scale is hiring ahead. I think I've seen just way too many startups who don't hire enough, and then they end up
feeling that... They don't know the art of letting go.
Yeah, it's not even the art of letting go, but hiring is again a risk, in the sense that it takes capital, it takes letting go, but I think hiring really sets you up for the future. So I think hiring and setting up those projects that are a little bit 1 year down the line, 6 months down the line, may not be pertinent today, really helps you get that momentum to scale up when time comes.
Okay.
So, an example is with Nykaa.com, when we really kind of figured out the beauty e-commerce multi-brand business, we set that next lever in growth, which was our private label. When we started understanding private label, we set our next lever in growth, which was our stores. So even in fashion, something I'm thinking about right now is that, we're starting to get this multi-brand business together. How do we start thinking about private label? Do we get the team in place? Do we get the capital in place for that?
Yeah. That's pretty good advice coming in as far as scaling goes, and on the back of experience of Nykaa, which is of course very successful.
Hi Adwaita, this is Shruti. I run a pet tech company called Flope, which stands for Love of All Pets. It's been truly inspiring reading about you, and I also did read an article about the 3 learnings that you have from Harvard Business School. The question I have to you is, how does it feel to work for a bit and go back for your education? And also, often in a startup, prioritizing your next steps in business is, always a challenge, right? You want to do too many things at once, and prioritizing often becomes the most key factor in defining startup success. So how do you, prioritize work, keeping aside the fact that depends from business to business, but in general, everything seems to be exciting, and how do you kind of balance it out in the early stages of a startup? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. I think the first one is, how did it feel to go back to
Education.
Go back to
Harvard
my
Business School. It is still HBS.
Yeah. So frankly, like, it was a tough decision when I was making it. I didn't want to leave the business. It was just starting to take off. But in retrospect, I'm really glad I did. It was a push from my mother, who said, this opportunity comes once and you should take it. I think Harvard was an absolutely fantastic experience in the way it broadened my mind, in the way it made me deliberate about the kind of leader I wanted to be, the kind of manager I wanted to be. And so I really think I came back being stronger, more resilient, and more ready for the Nykaa challenge. So I really do appreciate that opportunity. And in terms of the second question, in terms of how does one prioritize, I think that's the million-dollar question that everyone has. For me personally, I've found that prioritization, it's actually really easy to be busy and just do a lot of busy work. And that actually makes you feel great because we're all achievement-oriented, want to do things. But I think what's actually harder is to not do things and just take a moment to think and develop clarity of thought and then prioritize exactly what is the most pressing thing that you need to be doing right now. What is that one thing that affects everything else? What is that one thing if you don't do it today, you will be set back later? And I think if you try to hone in into that one thing, that's probably the right way. But to be honest, that requires you to force yourself to take a step back and not do everything.
Hi, my name is Rashmi and I am heading the sales and marketing team of Prudel Labs. My question for Adwait is that what were the initial marketing challenges that you faced when you started your company, and how did you overcome them? And what are your current marketing challenges that you're facing right now, and how do you find it different from the initial and the current ones?
So I think, frankly, when I think of marketing, two things come to mind. So one is just hardcore digital marketing. I think one of the challenges there is that marketing is constantly evolving. And I've seen it myself that, 5 years ago, XYZ platform was the best for this kind of marketing. Today, it's the absolute opposite. So I think one of the key areas that you need to focus on in digital marketing is just staying up to date with the trends. I think another very important thing, part of that digital marketing is that I really believe you have to do a little bit of everything. I don't think you can just do Google ads or just do Instagram ads. I think you have to do Google ads, Instagram ads, blogger collaborations, PR, SEO, YouTube, Facebook. You have to do everything. And I think it's that holistic approach to digital marketing is when you start seeing results. I think that's something Nykaa got right after 2 or 3 years. We realized how all these things interplay with each other and influence each other. Whereas in the beginning, we would just look at every channel in isolation. And if there was one channel that seemed very promising, all our money would go there. And I think we've learned that that diffused approach is better. I think another thing in marketing is that it's not just about marketing. Marketing is the art of getting customers to come onto your platform. But that doesn't just depend on digital marketing. That depends on your product being right, your technology being right, your terms being right, your operation, your delivery policies clicking. So it's when all of those facets come together is when marketing can be a success. So I've often felt that sometimes throwing money at the problem via marketing is not necessarily the answer, but if you can fix some of those other, ground level issues, whether it's your ops or your tech or how slow or fast your website is, marketing can be more effective.
Have you noticed whether text or video works better?
Right now, video is super successful. We're seeing a huge upsurge in video content, the engagement people have with it, and I mean, it's intuitive. I think people are getting too overwhelmed with plain text. There's too much of it. Video helps you stand out.
I'm going to ask you a question on behalf of all the investors. Now, obviously, I'm sure you get chased by a lot of funds, a lot of investors that want to come on board. How does Nykaa choose its partners?
Yeah. I think, again...
This is a checklist for all the investors.
I think, again, Mama has taken these decisions around which investors, given her background in fundraising and finance, I think she's always clear that first and foremost, the investors have to be supportive of the business, have to align with our vision of the business. They have to be open to kind of coming and playing in the way she wants. She's not someone who's going to raise a huge amount of money. She has sort of more of a conservative approach to fundraising. We've actually scared a lot of investors away by not raising as much as they wanted to.
Okay.
So investors who kind of align with her conceptually in terms of how much capital does it take to build a business is the type of investor that we typically go for.
And with that, Adwaita, I'd like to thank you for taking the time out and being part of the ET Startups Masterclass.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. Well, now focus on a real cool, quirky company, which is keeping companies like us here at ET Now on our toes and making us feel a bit old as well. I'm talking about Pocket Aces, and joining me right here on Startup Central is one of the co-founders, Anirudh Pandita. Hi, Anirudh. Welcome to Startup Central. Cool company. We'll get to all of that in just a bit. But first,
hey, Nayantara.
We've got you here because you're some of the best investors in the world, as you say on your website, and you've just done a fundraise. Take us through that. Do you want to share with us what your valuation is? And, you know, as a digital marketing company, you better market a good pitch. How do you do it to get the best on board?
So Nayantara, we're a digital entertainment company focused on mobile video. We've produced some of the most popular content in short form, long form, and interactive content in India today. And we have one of the largest distribution footprints amongst all digital entertainment companies in India today. We are very lucky to have some of the best investors in the world as our partners. And the investment that we've raised recently is really a recognition of our leadership in this sector, and also the potential of this digital entertainment sector, where I think things are just getting started and we're going to see many years of secular growth here.
So, what are you going to do with all of these funds? And is this your first fundraise? Can you take us through that? Because I think a lot of people will be watching you. They're aware of Pocket Square. They're aware of the cool content and the cool clients and the big clients that you have. But why is it that a digital entertainment company like yours needs to go in for so many fundraisers and have so many investors?
Yeah, this is our Series B round. And we had the A round, which had the likes of Sequoia, North Base Media, and the co-founders of Infosys Investing. This round had Sequoia DSP Group and 314 amongst others who invested in this round. The capital that we're raising primarily is for three areas. So there is investment in content. We are building capabilities to scale up our distribution and to also get to about 30 long form shows a year. And that requires us to not only build capabilities, but also buy up content, IP, and build up a library of world-class assets. The second investment is in technology. We run India's first and largest interactive esports platform. We would like to continue down that path. We think it's the future of what gaming and gaming entertainment looks like in India. So there's investment in that. And the third is that as you grow, the most important investment has to be in people. And people are what form the base of any company, and we want to make sure that we have the right amount of senior leadership join us from across the industry, and also to grow internally at a good clip.
Okay, so you've told us what we can expect, and Anirudh, I've got to say, you make some of us feel really old, fuddy-duddy, like maybe we are still like, I keep telling my team, like, stop thinking like Doordarshan, let's do something fun, but we'll get there one day. But having said that, what are the interesting trends that you're seeing when it comes to all of these things you talked about? For example, content. Would you folks want to, for example, sell content to the likes of, let's say, a Netflix, Amazon, Hotstar? Is that the progressive step? Or could you also perhaps look at competing with them and maybe have a homegrown platform like, you saw with maybe Alt Balaji or Z5?
See, our view is that you must follow and understand consumer behavior, and if you can spot things early, you can be a leader in those areas. And I think the consumer behavior is shifting in a secular manner to consumption on mobile. There is no question that the centerpiece of today's entertainment experience is the mobile phone. And with the emergence of Jio and kind of the smartphone revolution across India, access has become very, very easy for everyone. Data is cheap. And so the phone becomes very important. And the phone allows you to do three things. Number one is that it opens up a completely new time band of entertainment. So short form content becomes very, very important. And if you don't understand short form content and have the data around short form content, I think you're really going to be in a bad position a few years from now. The second thing that this allows you to do, the mobile revolution allows you to do, is that it allows for interactivity. So a cable box can only do so many things. Your remote has only just so many buttons. But with interactivity, many more things can happen, and the phone allows you to do that. And the third is this personalization that the phone allows you to do. And when you look at the entertainment platforms of choice that are emerging, they are creating for one individual, and that's you. And therefore, the amount of content that they need to satisfy each and every individual and subscriber on their service is really immense. So for us, there are different buckets of value. There is buckets of value to be built on the short form side with distribution and rapid content coming out very, very quickly, and really building engagement across these platforms. We are partnering with guys like Netflix, who we've done a show with already, and there are other shows that we are in talks with all the other big OTTs. And really, this is going to be a market with multiple OTTs that are going to fight it out with a few remaining. And for us, the method to build a sustainable enterprise is to build great IPs by partnering with these people and not competing with them. And so for us, we are continuing along that path. We were the first digital.
So I want to take up some of those points.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to take up because you said a lot. So let's take it one by one.
Yeah.
So when you say a remote control has so many buttons, it can't provide customization and personalization. Throw some color. What does that mean? Like, are you talking about maybe what we saw with Black Mirror and Netflix? Or are you talking about that I tomorrow can choose, I want a happy ending, I want even a happier ending, I want this couple in a movie to break up, I want to make sure that the protagonist kills the villain. Like, I don't know, is that the kind of personalization you're talking about?
So, the simplest form of personalization is the fact that today you can watch content you like, and the platforms suggest and recommend content that you like. So that's the first form of personalization. And what that means is the shared screen experience is dead, right? Only large events will be watched by lots of people together. Everything else will be based on personal tastes. And those tastes don't have to be just necessarily limited to where you're from, or whether you're male or female, or you're Sec A or Sec B. There are tastes that are way larger than that, and they're more complex. And today these platforms actually are able to really zoom in on those tastes. So I think having brands that speak a certain language and having strong brands that speak to a certain audience, they become very important. And so no longer is it about getting the whole family together and then we have a family entertainer. That cinema or television language of content and that method of making content is going to go away in many ways. And it's really about, so for us, for example, we are one of the leaders in young adult entertainment, basically, entertainment which caters to young populations. We understand that cohort very well. We get data on them through short form content. And so we can take very intelligent long form bets, which previously in the history of television has not happened because they don't have that kind of data or that agility that we do. So I think that personalization is really changing the game. And who is finally recommending Black Mirror to you? Your friends. And so, if you don't have that mechanism of influencing that or giving them that content, you're not going to be in the same ballpark as your competitors.
Anirudh, the reason I brought up Black Mirror was because Black Mirror last year allowed you to choose your ending.
Yes.
It was seen as path-breaking.
Yes.
It's also being seen as a future of entertainment.
Yes.
How far are we there from India?
We're not very far. We run Loco, India's first live and interactive esports app. And what we did, the first show on that was the Loco quiz, which was basically a 10-question quiz where a live broadcaster, which is Gaurav Kapoor, went live, and when you watched the show, you could answer each question sitting at home, and you could win money at the end of it. So you suddenly took a format which was a quiz show format, which had either had one contestant or had 5 or 10 or 20, and you took it to millions of people who could now play and win. And I think that's already the start of the interactive journey. And what Netflix has done is just one part of that. I think we're just at the beginning of that. And we've created a bunch of different formats on Loco today, which have done very well for us. So I think that journey, we're just at the very beginning.
So that's as far as a quiz goes. But you'll need some serious bucks if you're going to one day have. And I remember Shah Rukh Khan actually spoke about this at an Economic Times event, and we had Reed Hastings of Netflix there. We had Vineet Jain, some serious big players over there, and where he's talked about the future of entertainment is going to be where you will choose the ending of your movie, or you will want to see multiple endings, and one family is not going to like the same ending. But just the fact, and I'm talking to you also as someone who creates content, to create that and to provide those kind of options, possible in the near future?
I think definitely possible. We've actually also scripted a show already of that sort internally. But I think really what it comes down to is, the consumer experience through the day is different, right? You want to watch a short video when you wake up, you send it to your friends on WhatsApp, or you watch it on Facebook, you scroll on something on Instagram, you are watching a 5-minute video on YouTube, you're playing a game, in the evening you're watching and binging on a Netflix show, interactive or not. And so I think each platform has something unique to offer. And so when you're creating content like we are, and we do in a month 500 million video views, which is massive. 3 years back when we raised our last round, we were only doing 20 million views a month, and we think we can get to 1 billion views very, very quickly within the next 12 months. And that's happening because our content is customized for each platform. So our content on Instagram looks and feels different than our content on YouTube, for example, because we know the mechanism of distribution and the consumer experience on those platforms is vastly different. And if you don't understand that, you're going to have trouble growing on digital. And I think that's what makes us special and makes us different, is because each and every individual that is working at this company understands that, and A, is data driven, but B, is also very conscious about following the consumer and really understanding what makes them tick on that platform.
So having said that, you also said, Anirudh, that if you're going to stay in the long format, you're going to be dead in a couple of years. Do you have a definition of short? Because, we keep hearing about how the attention span is falling, the millennials don't like long videos. Is there any formula that you have figured out works?
No, so I wasn't saying long form is dead. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I was saying that long form is going to actually explode as well. The thing is that, if you look at what your life looked like 15 years back, when you, went to work in the morning, you would read a newspaper or maybe a book or something, but you would not have any other form of entertainment. Today, through the whole day, through your phone, you have access to entertainment. And so short form actually opens up. So it's not like people have short attention spans. I think that we believe that their experience through the day is they're looking for different things. So in the day, they're looking for short form formats. But in the evening, often they're binging on things, or when they're going on weekends, they're binging on things. So I think you're going to see an explosion both in long and short form content. And to your question, how short is short? Short can go from 10 seconds all the way to 3 or 4 minutes as we define it. And it really depends on the platform. Is it vertical? What does it look like? All of that depends on the platform that you're using to distribute the content.
I want to now ask you, you've got various brands within Pocket Aces. Let's get specific about Pocket Aces now. Yes. When you look at those 3 brands, which is the one that excites you personally the most? Or have you divided it among the founders? Does it work like that?
Yeah, so we are excited about all our brands, which is why we run them. The brands we are not excited about are not on our page. So, they're really, again, about different experiences that people are looking for. Filter Copy does short format content. It's the leader of short format content in India today. It's the most watched short format brand. Gobble does food and lifestyle content, catering to a different audience. And really, we're setting the pace there as the leader as well. With Dice Media, we're actually creating some of the best content that India has seen on long form. On the long format side, we have the most popular YouTube shows in India. We made Netflix's 3rd original in India. So we are really, the way we look at it, these are different experiences people are looking for. And of course, Loco is us peeping into the future and saying, what does interactive content look like? And we're betting on that as well. So I don't think that one is better than the other. For us, it's really important to serve the consumer in the best possible way, and each of these brands helps us to do that. Where there are already existing platforms for content consumption, we build new brands. If there is no platform, we build the technology and own the whole stack. So for us, both are important, and it's not like one is more important than the other. For us as founders, we focus obviously on a few things. We distribute the responsibilities amongst ourselves, and we run these with a very strong leadership team. So it's not a one-man show like traditional film studios have been, where there's one person who takes a lot of the calls in these production houses. It doesn't work like that in our company, and we've really democratized that process in a nice manner.
Okay, I want to also ask you, how is it that 3 of you, ex-investment bankers, 2 I'm guessing who might have been together at Urbana-Champaign studying engineering, got together to get into the big bad world of media? How did it happen?
Yeah, so for us, Ashwin and I were roommates in college at the University of Illinois. both studying electrical engineering. We are not from a family of entrepreneurs, but our college had this environment of entrepreneurship. The founders of YouTube went there, Mark Andreessen went there, the founder of PayPal went there. So for us, there was always that environment. So we were always looking to do something new and different. And Ashwin really took the plunge when he arrived here in India and started working in the film studios and really understood that world very well. I joined him in 2013 after going to Wharton, and we felt the entertainment sector was underexploited, both in terms of its business model as well as in terms of the stories we were telling. We felt there was a scope to really improve both. And then when Aditi joined us the year after, the digital revolution was just starting. And so for us, change in consumer behavior and change in business models really allow you to build large, durable businesses. And for us, then the entertainment sector became a very natural focus because consumption, like I said earlier, was moving to mobile phones. So it was, to put it in a short manner, for us, it was a passion earlier. And so that gave us the initial interest to start. But then when we got here, we really saw the opportunity that really existed, and we felt it was a multi-year opportunity to build something durable.
Okay, so that's the journey, the three of you that got together. You had a vision. I don't know whether you had to struggle telling your families that you're giving up secure jobs to follow your dreams, how that panned out, because that is something a lot of young entrepreneurs have to deal with. But how did you pitch? You've got some of the best investors out there in the world. You better have a good pitch in the business of marketing. But any suggestions, any recommendations that you have for everybody who's tuning in? This is part of this, what we call on the show, the Startup Toolkit.
Okay, so the way we look at it, obviously we have a lot of great partners. I think the art of the pitch is obviously understanding what other people are looking for. But I think ultimately, these are not transactions. These are people who are going to be partnering with you as you build something of quality and something that hopefully really has a great impact on society and economy. So I think you really need to choose your partners carefully, and I think of it less like a pitch and more like a date, and think about who you really want to be associated with for a really long time. And I think not enough people do that. They think of these as one-time transactions, but they're not one-time transactions. Equity is the most long-lasting asset, and so if you're bringing someone in as an equity partner, you really need to have the right equation with them. So don't think of it as don't think of it as an interrogation, or an exam. It's a date, and you're evaluating them just as much as they're evaluating you. And we should remember that while you're talking to them. Of course, the quality of the idea matters. The quality of the industry matters. The industry size, finally, the market size trumps almost everything else. So if you're in a really large industry and you're solving a really large problem, that's going to be huge. And the quality of your team matters. I think those things start adding up into what becomes an interesting pitch for someone. The quality of your problem that you're solving becomes important. But I think don't forget, my advice is don't forget that it's a date. It's not an exam.
But what's also interesting is, Anirudh, I understand that, maybe given your engineering background, you guys actually use artificial intelligence and machine learning to figure out what's going to work well with the masses. Well, congratulations. It's definitely not just Saas Bahu ka serials, but how does it work actually? Any insights you can give us?
So we obviously study data from across different genres of entertainment that we put out on social media. And in terms of, the way we think about how to bring data into this art of entertainment is that, we utilize the data we're getting from our short video channels, whether it's, a meme or a short video that we've done, to give us data on the quality of the theme, the nuance around the theme. Do people like a particular actor better than another actor? It really is the largest focus group you could have at a very much a fraction of a cost of what it costs on television, right? Often we will make videos with just the sole intent of understanding our audience better, and that allows us to take these big bets on on long form content, which obviously are much larger and more expensive properties. So for us, these trends are important, but it's still obviously there is a sense of there's an art to it. But we've really brought a method to this madness, and that allows us to have the strongest renewal rate, the highest renewal rate on long form shows. And it's not a surprise because all these shows that we put out have come out from insights from short form content. And that's why I was saying earlier to you that if you do not have a short form distribution business today or in the future, you will struggle with understanding your audiences, because the audiences are not just on one platform, they're on different platforms, and they are going to give you intelligence across platforms. And you need to build the right systems, and more importantly, have the right people to help them understand these or draw insights from these pieces of data that we get. And I'm very happy to tell you that we have all sorts of creative people who look at this data and use it in the right manner. Then it's not one centralized data insights team which is continuously throwing out numbers to creators who are holding their heads thinking what's going on with these numbers. It's actually the creators understand these numbers, they react to them, and that's the best thing that someone like me can hope for, because it gives them context as they keep creating for their audiences.
I also understand that the average employee age at Pocket Aces is 23 years.
That's right.
As people live longer, and when I told my mom I was going to interview you, she told me to ask you this question. She's 65 years old, a serial binger on Netflix, Hotstar, only English. She's a bit snob like that. But she's like, listen, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Facebook, and nobody markets to me. And she has a point. There are many like her, right? And there are many people who are not on social media. So is that an audience you target, or is it also a decision that maybe Pocket Aces has taken that we're only going to focus on the younger crowd?
Yeah, look, there are always underserved audiences, and there can always be businesses that focus on them. We have chosen to focus on the audience we know best. Our advantage is the fact that we have these large distribution footprints and large content, assets across serving these young people. And so for us, that is what we like to focus on. The 18 to 40 age group is really what we focus on. I think your mom will also enjoy some of our content, but our primary audience is that one. And yes, there can be companies, I think, in the future that will focus on that age group and also find success.
There have been reports that you're in talks with Hollywood production companies. True or false?
Yeah, we're always talking, so it's true.
Yeah, so by when do you think, have things moved along? Because we've been hearing about it, and, by when is an announcement likely? Do you want to tell us which studio?
No, look, we're talking to a bunch of people across the world. We are in a very, very fortunate time. I think there's never been a better time to be a creator in India. The shackles have really come off. Your content is traveling worldwide and in record time. Our short videos are often watched by people in countries far away from India. Our lead talent, who were not from famous film families, are being recognized in places like Brussels and New York and Paris. And it's happening because content today is going global, right? We are watching shows like Narcos, which is about a Colombian drug lord, played by a Brazilian, shot by a French company, broadcast by an American company. These are really global projects, and Indians are watching them and making parody videos out of them too. I think we are lucky to be in this age, and we are talking to a bunch of companies, and the deals that we've done with some of the OTTs today have resulted from years of hard work. Every overnight success is usually backed up by many years of work, and I think so. It's not going to be something that happens in the next few months, but I'm very hopeful that something happens in the next few years.
Because of the investors that you have on board, I'm going to ask you this question: is Pocket Aces only going to stay in India? Because a lot of the investors that you have on board like to take companies global.
I think our focus is currently on serving the Indian consumer. Once we feel that we've really captured that opportunity in a meaningful manner, yes, we will look abroad. And look, the world is full of opportunities, but it's...
With the kind of population, it cannot happen.